S'u es roish b'nei Yisrael. Instructions given to Moshe and Aaron, seemingly simply to count the Jewish people and to get a census of the numbers of how many people are going to go forward. At this point in time, they still believe they're on the threshold of entering Eretz Yisrael, and they need to know how many Kol Yotzei Tzava b'Yisrael, how many people are fighting fit, ready to enter the land. This is the simple reading of the Parsha, and it seems to be a book of numbers. In fact, in the non-Jewish world, the book of Bamidbar is called the book of numbers. But the truth is totally different. In actual fact, the numbers are irrelevant here in a certain sense because we've had them before. 603,550 should sound familiar to us all from Parshas Ki Sisa. We've had the Chatzi Shekel and we know the numbers. We know exactly how many people there are. What's unique here in Parshas Bamidbar is that the Klal Yisrael are given a clear, profound identity on three levels. Every individual is given a triple layer identity, and this is something very interesting to look at, which comes out in the Meforshim, in the Ramban, in those Naim Torah, and the Kli Yakar. What exactly is going on here in this counting? And here the Pasuk says not just Se'u, but also Tifkedu Osam. Tifkedu Osam means not just to count them, but to give each person a tafkid meaning a position, a purpose in life. Where do they stand vis-a-vis the community, vis-a-vis the Almighty, vis-a-vis the world? What is their tafkid? Every individual has their own, come into this world with a tafkid, and they were not just to be counted, they were supposed to be given a tafkid, a purpose, and a direction in life. How was this done? So this is a triple layer of counting. One of them is Bamispar Shemois Legulgulosom. Each person had to give their private name, their individual name. According to some of the Mefarshim, if you look in the Abarbanel, those Naim Torah, each person gave a petek with their name written on it, and that was Legulgulosom. Legulgulosom means a head count. Each head was different to the next head. Each head had their unique name and the unique number, and that is the identity as an individual. The second one is Lemishpachosam, that which family do they belong to? The family unit, that's a second layer of identity. That is, if you like, a biological identity where you are part of a family, and that in itself constitutes part of your identity. And then there is Leveis Avosam. Leveis Avosam meant the tribe, the tribal identity, which we would call today the community, since we don't have tribal identities anymore, but the community identity is in fact the third layer of the identity. And every one of us exists and functions as a member of Klal Yisrael on all three levels, as an individual, as a member of the family, and as the member of a community. There is a fourth level that we'll come to in a couple of minutes. But these three levels are actually expressed very interestingly halachically, and we do it every week. In Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Samach in Shulchan Aruch, it speaks about how we daven on Friday night. And there's a special mitzvah to say Vayechulu, that those psukim from the beginning of Bereshis chapter 2, speaking about the creation of the Shabbos, Vayechulu Hashemayim V'Oretz V'Chol Tzavam, says the Shulchan Aruch that we say Vayechulu 3 times. Every individual says it 3 times, and interestingly, these 3 times are said exactly according to this triple identity mentioned in Parshas Bamidbar. First, we say it as an individual in the quiet Shemona Esra of Ma'ariv. We say Vayechulu, and then we say it as a community. There's the loud Vayechulu, everyone says together in Vayechulu, and then when we go home, we say Vayechulu as Lemishpachosam, with the family. So we all identify on these 3 levels, and the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Yud Tes says that saying Vayechulu Na'aseh Shutaf LaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Maaseh Bereshis, that saying of Vayechulu we become partners with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not a bad partner to have, to be a shutaf of the Rebbeinu Shalom in the creation of the world. Why are we partners with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Simply because by saying Vayechulu we recognize the tachlis, the purpose of the Bria was to recognize Kavod Shamayim, to recognize the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as the Borei Olam. That's the purpose. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and we give the world its purpose by recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's the shutfus we have with the Rebbeinu Shalom. But this triple layer Vayechulu is based on the triple layer identity that we find in Parshas Bamidbar, and that I think is a very interesting insight in what's going on here in Parshas Bamidbar. It's not just about numbers, and numbers in a sense are the most incidental part of the whole parsha because we know them already, and therefore this is a profound way of identifying each one and giving each person his own tafkid. But there is a fourth dimension, and that is that the Klal Yisrael in the Midbar are not only associated as individuals, families, and tribes, but they're also in formation around the Mishkan. They're in formation in four groups of 3 tribes each. Right? There's Degel Machane Yehuda, and then there's Degel Machane Reuven, Degel Machane Ephraim, and Degel Machane Dan. These are the 4 different groups, each one of them north, south, east, and west, encamped around Misoviv La Mishkan Yachanu. They encircle the Mishkan, and in the middle there was Shevet Levi, as in this case the 13th tribe, because of course when Ephraim and Manasseh are counted separately, you have Levi as the 13th tribe. So what's going on here exactly with these 4 different groups? And this is something much more mystical, but I think very fascinating, especially as we're coming towards Shavuos. What do we find on Shavuos, the first day of Shavuos? What are we doing? We are laning the Aseres HaDibros, because it's Zman Matan Teresenu, the events of Sinai, the moment of Gilui Shechina, and then as a Haftarah, we say one of the most remarkable Haftarahs of the whole year, which is Yecheskel chapter 1, which is called by Chazal Maaseh Merkava, when Yecheskel HaNavi has this vision of the Kisei HaKavod. So to speak, metaphorically, he sees the world of the Olam HaElyon, the Olam HaAtzilus. He sees HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He has a vision which is truly astounding, and of course of which we understand very, very little, but we might understand very little about it, but we connect to it daily, sometimes more than once, with the punchline of that whole vision, which was that Yecheskel HaNavi hears the Malachim saying, Baruch Kavod Hashem Mimkaimei. Every time you say that particular pasuk in Kedusha or in Birkas Kriyas Shema, you should have in mind Yecheskel HaNavi chapter 1 and the vision that he saw of Kavod Shamayim, the immense power of the Borei Olam and the Olam HaElyon. But one thing he did see was that surrounding the Kisei HaKavod, the Malachim arranged themselves in 4 groups. And these 4 groups are all identified there. Exactly what they mean is difficult to understand. This is all mystical, Kabbalistic material. But one of them had the appearance of an aryeh, of a lion. One had the appearance of a shar, of an ox. One had the appearance of an odom, of a person. And one had the appearance of a nesher, of an eagle. Each one of these has got layers upon layers of symbolism and meaning, whatever it is. But these were the four groups of malachim around the Kisei HaKavod. And according to Chazal, what it's got to do with Shavuos, that at the moment of Har Sinai, the Klal Yisrael saw the ultimate Gilui Shechina, the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They saw at the same time the heavens, so to speak, opened up in a sense of a vision, if you like, a prophetic vision was granted to each one of Klal Yisrael. They not only heard the Kol Hashem, but they saw Malchus Shamayim, and they saw the Malachim in some sort of formation, and they wanted to replicate that. But Rabbeinu Bachai has a whole arichus here, how they wanted to replicate these 4 chayos, these 4 different categories of malachim, and these were the 4 different groups around the Mishkan, and indeed, each one of these 4 groups had a degel, had a flag, and according to Chazal, each one of these flags had on it an image, one of them of a shar, one of an odom, one of the nesher, right? Each one had their own, one of these 4 images on the degel. That was the flag. Possibly, just want to add, possibly, there were, in addition to the flags, Pshuta Shel Mikra is that there were only 4 flags in Klal Yisrael. Just each group of 4 tribes had a flag. Those are the Degolim. But it could be, the Mefarshim say, that when it says Osos, the Os was that each tribe had a flag, and Rashi says that each tribe had its own mini flag, so to speak, which had on it simply a color. What was the color? The color was the color of the stone on the Choshen Mishpat, which had the name of that tribe on it. right? So there was an emerald, there was an amethyst, there was a diamond, and there was a ruby. Each one had its own distinctive color. Those were the colors of the tribes. And then there was the major, the Degel, Machane Yehuda, Dereg, Machane Ephraim. These were the tribes. It could be, incidentally, I've heard it suggested. It's an interesting fact that in the world we live in today, many countries, including England and America and France, all have flags with 3 colors on them. The red, white, and blue of the Union Jack and of the American flag and the Australian flag and various other flags. Why have they got 3 colors? This is biblical, because each group had a flag with the 3 colors of the 3 tribes that were in that formation. Now, those 3 tribes had the color, and on that color was these images. Exactly what it symbolizes. There's a very beautiful mahalech here in the Kliyaka, which I won't go into in detail, but he says each one represented one of the greatest spiritual achievements of mankind. That Klal Yisrael, in order to receive the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a nation, had to engage in 4 spiritual endeavors. One was the pursuit of Chachma, was wisdom, and that was Degel Machane Yehuda, which was also practical wisdom as the Kesem Malchus, and Torah wisdom, which was the Zvulun and Yisachar and Zvulun combination, the Torah wisdom, the scholarly wisdom, to being Talmidei Chachamim. That was one. And then there was Degel Machane Reuven, which represented Midas Tovus, human characteristics, primarily Anova, modesty of Reuven. And why exactly that's Reuven, that's maybe a whole story. And then there was the Degel of Ephraim, which represented Gevurah, which was power and courage and certainty and self-discipline. That was Ephraim. And then there was Degel Machane Dan, which was Dan Asher Naphtali, which represented wealth, which meant immense wealth, but not just wealth for its own sake, but wealth used for the benefit of Klal Yisrael. And these were the 4 great, says the Kliyaka, these were the 4 great qualities that Klal Yisrael aspired to, represented by these 4 groups. And this was the way, in the sense that in this world, Ba'olam HaAsiyah, we could reflect the Olam HaEliyah and the 4 groups of the Malachim, and this was the 4th dimension. So in a personal level, there was the personal identity, the family identity, and the communal, if you like, the tribal identity. That was the 3 layers of identity which reflected in Vayichulu. And then there was the identity of belonging to a group of people who are pursuing either Chachma or Midas Tevus, right, or Gevurah, or wealth, or all four together in various different ways. This is the beauty of Parshas Bamidbar, much more than numbers. Numbers is the last thing we're interested in. We're interested in the depth the Torah gives us of understanding the role that we play as members of Klal Yisrael, and Yehi Rotzen, that we should indeed be successful in becoming a shutuf to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, saying Vayichulu, and understanding that each one has a unique individual role to play, L'Gulgulosam B'Mispar Shemos, and at the same time as a member of our community, as a member of Klal Yisrael V'chein Yehi Rotzen.